Retiring at a young age, what's the story there? Because you're not an old man. Can I ask how old you are?
I'm 43.
So you've been here for 18 years and now you're
17.
17 and now you're leaving.
I'm leaving now, yes. Yeah.
Why? Good morning from a very overcast and smoggy Bangkok. Pete here from Thairish Times. We have an interview for you today with Ozzi Jarvinen, founder of Igloo, a remote IT software company that began in Ozzy's bedroom and now employs over 250 people. So Igloo, what a great name, Igloo. They provide digital services like mobile app development, web development, software development, to name but a few. And Ozzy has been hailed as the pioneer of the digital nomad scene in Chiang Mai. Although he doesn't like to be called that because he says he hasn't lived a nomadic lifestyle. He spent a lot of his time in Chiang Mai. So we're going to talk to Ozzy about his business. And we're also going to talk to Ozzy about why he's leaving Thailand after 17 years. And this is a very valid reason, and it's something that I have been considering as well, especially in the last 2 years. And it's something that you should consider as well if you're planning on moving to Thailand, living long-term in Thailand, or if you already do live in Thailand. So without further ado, let's get into the interview. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. We have loads more interviews coming up on this channel, folks. Loads more. I'm scheduling interviews now at this stage. So yeah, let's get into it. Leave me a comment as well. I'm always interested to hear what you have to say. So let's do it. Introducing Ozzi Jarvinen. Ozzy, thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you. Thank you.
So here we are. We're at Igloo, which where are we in Sukhumvit?
So we are in Sukhumvit Soi 13 in trendy building, one of our offices. So yeah, we got office here in this is our Bangkok office. I think in this place we've been, I'd like to say maybe 8 years.
8 years. Well, let's start back about you. So tell us, where are you from?
So I'm from Finland originally, and then been moving around the world quite a bit before kind of ending up here in Thailand.
So you're from Finland, and how long have you been over here? What brought you over to Thailand?
So I've been in Thailand now for about 17 years. Originally, very first I came to study at Bangkok University. That was part of my bachelor program. And then later, 2006, I actually ended up flipping a coin in Finland, whether to move to Bangkok or Abu Dhabi. And the coin decided Bangkok, and yeah, that's now 16 years ago, so I'm still here.
Wow. And was that a flip of a coin, yeah?
Flip of a coin. I was at the ferry cruise between Finland and Sweden when I flipped the coin, and probably a few pints down when I did that. But when the coin decided that I'm going to move to Bangkok, it was only about 1 week when I was here. So I booked a flight, one-way ticket, and packed everything. And
18 years later, are you happy that the coin landed?
Oh yeah,
Bangkok?
No regrets. Very happy.
So tell us about your business. We're down here in Igloo. What is Igloo?
So I set it up Igloo, like originally I was working as a freelancer. So I was doing remote work for some of the companies in Finland that I used to work before moving to Thailand. So doing websites and stuff like that. I was never really a very good programmer, but I just worked hard and just grinded, just did what I had to do to be able to stay in Thailand, to stay in the tropics. And then I started to think, like, how do I scale this? I need to have more people working than just me, because there was demand. Like I had customers, more than I could handle on my own. So I started hiring people, but I was never really good at managing either. So I realized that I wanted very kind of independently, people who could work independently with the client. And then there was the kind of cultural issue and language issue came in. So originally the idea was that I hired Finns for working for Finnish clients. I hired Swedish people working for Swedish clients and so on. But I'd say maybe 4 or 5 years ago that kind of changed. Nowadays people are quite familiar working remotely and English becoming the prominent language. We also have a lot of clients in US now, so it's not that clear cut anymore. So now we have very multinational teams. We might have 6 different nationalities in one team, and I think all in all we have 35 different nationalities in the office, and probably I'd say 40 to 50 Thais also.
So how many people? Over 200 people, I read.
Yeah, so I reckon it's about roughly 250 right now. Not everybody in Thailand, most of them in Thailand though. I'd say probably 220 or maybe in Thailand. Then we have some people we have offices in Hong Kong and Vietnam. So we have some people there, and then there are tons of people working in random countries around the world.
And most of those people are foreigners, right? Not Thai.
Yes, yeah. So I would say mostly European, Northern European. So a lot of Finnish, a lot of British actually, German, Dutch, Swedish, and so on. Then Americans, Australians, Canadians as well. So
and how were you able to hire so many foreigners? Because the thing is, they say in Thailand that it's extremely difficult to hire so many foreigners. There's a lot of rules in place. How are you able to get around that?
So we have a BOI license that kind of it allows us more easily to hire foreigners. So it doesn't have that 1-to-4 rule that normal Thai company have, where you have to have 4 Thais for each foreigner. But every time we still need to explain why we're hiring this guy and not the Thai. And obviously these days we're trying to hire as many Thais as possible because it's much easier to hiring a Thai. But the demand is hard. So it's actually easier for us to hire someone from Europe to come to here because there is not so many Thai companies competing, just because it's hard competing on the talent. Whereas if you are a talented Thai developer in Bangkok, you are very much in demand. So it's going to be very difficult to compete.
I saw in an interview that you did that you were kind of brave and you went down by yourself, and a lot of people, you even said yourself that you need a lawyer and an agent and someone to help you, but you went down and in Chiang Mai and you did it yourself.
Yeah, so no, actually in Bangkok, had to go to Bangkok, but we did talk with various lawyers beforehand, but this was with my then girlfriend, now wife, who was helping me. But all the research we did online, we kind of felt like we almost knew more about the topic than many of the lawyers we met. So we decided that actually, we actually kind of gave up on it after talking with the lawyers, because the lawyers made it sound almost impossible. I have to remember this was 2011, 2012, so it was some time ago. And we just decided that I still thought that I can't sleep at night if I didn't try, so I just need to try. So we made a presentation on an iPad, flew to Bangkok, showed the presentation, and I was kind of like 80% sure that they're going to say no. To my surprise, they were like, yes, let's do it. And actually very helpful. They assisted me to change the application in a way that we were applying in the wrong category. So they helped us, the officials helped us to choose the right category, and very helpful. And I found that it wasn't that hard to get the license. To keep it is much harder. That's where it gets complicated.
I'm always fascinated with the mind of an entrepreneur, because you've grown a company here. You've made a lot of tough decisions, and I want to know how do you handle stress?
Well, actually, I do get stressed, but for me, the weird thing is I get stressed in my tummy. So it's my stomach that's taking the stress, not my head, which, could argue is it a good or bad thing. But and I think these days I've probably learned to live with it much better. So I start to recognize when it's happening and so on. So I think it's something that you also get used to. And the more you are in the situations, the easier it kind of gets. But I can't say that I wouldn't stress, so I still get stressed when hard situations hit.
How did you scale the company? How did you grow it?
It actually happened quite, I'd almost like to say accidentally, but there was a few key kind of situations. One was actually one very big Finnish financial newspaper that wrote an article about us. The journalist was living in, I think, in Shanghai, and flew from Shanghai to Chiang Mai to see me. We went for a motorbike ride in the jungle and so on, and we had some fun time. And in the end, he actually did a bit of work as well and did an interview. And I think at the time when that article came out, we were 7 or 8 people. But that was a big article, and we started to get a lot of interest from both people sending job applications as well as clients contacting. So I think from that seven people to 35 we grew in maybe 6 months or something. And after that, it was obviously a little bit easier.
What advice do you have for anyone that is considering setting up a business in Thailand?
Well, I mean, I think I'm kind of a very impulsive guy, because you can kind of overthink things. You might make business plans, you might make your 5-year plans and so on. But then in the end, I think it never goes like that anyway. There's always going to be some surprises, there's going to be some obstacles, there's going to be some unexpected opportunities. So I'm kind of one that I just kind of try to go with it. Like, just when I get an idea, I just want to give it a go and try it out. And then just be ready to quit if it doesn't work. Just, okay, that didn't work, try something else. So be kind of like, I guess you say it like, what do you call it again? Fail quickly. Like, yeah. So yeah, just try it out.
So you're not scared to try new things?
No, definitely not. And it's once you have tried and failed 2 or 3 times, I think it becomes easier to start again.
Would you say you're a risk taker?
Well, yeah, I would say I'm a risk taker, and I have to say most of the risks I took, most of the companies, I started a couple of companies in Finland, they didn't go too well, so I closed down them. Actually, before Igloo, I was running a real estate company in Chiang Mai. That didn't go too well either, so it was, I think, maybe my 5th try that it kind of worked out, found the right formula.
What would you say are the top 3 skills that an entrepreneur needs in Asia?
Well, communication skill comes as I think into the top of my mind, because you need to be obviously communicate with the different stakeholders. Here that might include more communication with the government officials than maybe what you used to in your own country. Like, I did actually recently set up a company in Finland, all happened online, and you just filled in a couple of forms, so there was not much of a communication or negotiation or anything that going on. But here you need more communication skills. I think you need more patience as well, because things not work as fast as you think, and a lot of the things, maybe you feel like it makes no sense, and you just need a little bit of a patience and kind of a step back and take your time and use your time for something else. When there is if some government official is taking time with your company certification, then take your time to plan your business. So patience, communication skills. And I think also the last one I would say, like, even though I earlier mentioned about, like, if things don't work out, then give up and try something else. But don't give up at the first obstacle, because there's gonna be obstacles, and even when you think things are going smoothly, there's always gonna be some obstacles. So you just need to kind of pick your fights, and it's never gonna be cruising. When you start cruising, then something's going to come up that is going to...
So it's problem solving all the time?
It is problem solving all the time, constant.
So you've been here for 18 years, and now you're...
17.
17, and now you're leaving.
I'm leaving now, yes. Yeah.
Why?
Well, the main reason is air pollution. And I think it was 2020, that was the first year when Chiang Mai actually had a worse air than Bangkok, if you take the whole year average. And the smoke seasons that we have in Chiang Mai have kind of, I mean, they used to be maybe 2 or 3 months. Now, sometimes they start at December and at May, so that's half a year. So for the past 6-7 years, we always took a car, me and my wife, our dogs, drove down to, we were in Rayong one year, but then Rayong actually had a worse air than Chiang Mai. We went to Chumpon and they had a bad air there. We've been 2 or 3 years in Phuket, which was actually pretty good, but it's a long drive. And if you're leaving for 6 months and taking half of your stuff with you, and then when you come back to Chiang Mai, I remember all kind of issues that we had. The pool was full of algae and we had an electricity cut down at some point, so everything is melted at the freezer and so on. And it's a headache. Plus also, even in Phuket, we've been to Krabi, Koh Lanta and so on, all of those places still had days of bad air. Maybe it was burning in Indonesia or Malaysia or something and so on. Not obviously in the same sense as Chiang Mai. So most of the days were still good. But I think maybe it's something to do with the age as well. The older I get, the more I kind of care about my health. So for that reasons, we started to think like, okay, so where is a good air quality? And my first thought was like, we should move to New Zealand. But it was my wife who said, okay, if we move somewhere, we move to Finland. And then I started to look, okay, so how's the air quality in Finland? It happens to be the second best in the world after Iceland. So Finland it is. I'd still say that it's one of those that we will try it out. I make no promises. It might be 6 months and we'll be back here or somewhere else, but at least we'll give it a go because it's a long time since I've been actually living there. So I'm not sure how we're going to be able to deal with the climate.
I've noticed in the last 2-3 years as well that the air in Bangkok is getting worse every year. I mean, I woke up this morning and looked out the window. I've never seen it as bad. And I try to like not think about it because a couple of years ago I read some studies on it and the link between cancer and living in a polluted city is pretty strong.
Yeah.
And how long you can live. I mean, it can really cut your life short.
Yeah, and I'd also say that I'm more sensitive to it than most people. So for example, my wife and actually a lot of my colleagues don't really have that big trouble with it. But I think it was 2008 or 2009, when the first time I started to get these terrible headaches when the smoke season started in Chiang Mai. And it took me a while to figure out that it's actually connected with the smoke. But then a few years later, when I started to get these headaches in December, and I was like, what's going on? And I started to measure things. I started to get all these tools to measure and see like, the air quality is 120 or 130. Okay, that makes sense. So, I mean, partially I think it might be psychological. Now that I check it every 20 minutes or something, then it might also have a negative effect on me. But then I buy all kind of air purifiers. I have a portable air purifier on my neck. I have one at home. I have a very good mask and so on, but that's not really how I want to live. I mean, I love going outdoors. I love riding my motorbike and so on. And if you can't do it 6 months of the year, then, okay, actually in Finland you can do it about 3 months of the year because of the weather. But anyway, I think I will enjoy more outdoors in Finland, and if I don't, then I guess we'll be back.
What's going to happen to the business?
Well, the business, I'm already taking a bit of a backseat, so I'm not sure if would be a right to say that I just retired, because that would be, I think, maybe oversimplifying it a little bit. But I don't have a really active role in the company anymore. I still stay as one of the shareholders, and I have a seat in the board. So our headquarters is actually in London, and I will remain as a board member for the London company, for the headquarters, but I have no active management role here in Thailand, so the company should not notice that I've moved to Finland.
So you mentioned earlier about cultural differences, and you said Finnish people for Finnish clients when you first started. As you grew your company, how have cultural differences affected your business, especially over here, when, like you said, we've got all different nationalities?
Yeah, I think, first of all, I probably have to say that I myself, I have changed. I don't know if I'm culturally very much a typical Finn anymore, because I have lived most of my adult life here in Asia. And also, I think when company is growing to a certain size, then you'll kind of start adopting the culture of the company. So I think right now, I wouldn't really say that the culture is based on your nationality as such. And I think all this kind of remote work is changing it as well. So in that way, I would probably say that culture is becoming more closer. And maybe it's a culture of people working in our company, working in the field of IT, working remotely to clients and so on, that these people are closer regardless of their background. I think it can probably be seen quite easily in our Slack channel and how the kind of a humor that is spreaded around within our company, that regardless of the nationality, I think the humor is still the same. So,
Ozzy, tell us, retiring at a young age, what's the story there? Because you're not an old man. Can I ask how old you are?
I'm 43.
Okay.
So I think I guess somewhat I started early. Most of my working life I've done here in Thailand. Most of my studies I studied here first in the Bangkok University for bachelor, but I actually graduated from Finland. But I was here as an exchange student. Then I did my internship here, and I actually wrote my thesis also while being in Thailand. Then I did 3 years studying in Payap University in Chiang Mai, and then later a couple of years did my master's at Chiang Mai University. And then most of my working life also here in Thailand. So I think there is one thing I definitely took advantage of, the geo arbitrage, living in a place where it's cheap, having clients mainly in Europe and US. I was able to save, at some points I've saved probably 90% of my income, of my monthly income. So, I was, we lived off grid in Chiang up in the mountains, and we were growing some of our own food and stuff like that. So I've never been a big spender, so I've been saving most of the money. And then also, I guess I got quite early into cryptos, so been pretty lucky with the cryptos, I'd say. So that kind of helped it. So I don't know if retiring is the right term, but I might be doing some work for Igloo in the future as well, while in Finland. But I'll definitely have a lot more time to go back to snowboarding and maybe even try ice hockey again.
Well, it's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Back in Finland, and keep us updated what you do.
Will do.
I'd love to know. I'd imagine a man like you is not going to sit around too long. You're going to be thinking of something to do. You're going to be doing I imagine you're doing your sports outside, but yeah. I can see there's an entrepreneur in you. Crypto, starting a business. You're going to start something else over there.
I might get into politics. I did run for parliament twice in elections.
Really?
2003 and 2007 elections in Finland as a member of the Liberal Party, which is more like libertarian these days. But yeah, I might get back into politics. But my wife, being a Thai, is not super happy about that idea, because she thinks politics equals corruption. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, I'll need to convince her that you can have uncorrupted politicians as well, and then I might take that as a side hobby.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Subscribe to the channel. We've got way more interviews coming up, and if you have a good story for us, let me know. Send me an email, thairishtimes@gmail.com. I'm always looking for a good story, and hit the like button, leave us a comment, and I'll see you on the next one.